Right, folks, so for the past couple of weeks, we've been hearing more than ever before that the government has issued a park on plastic. It starts tomorrow. The importation, manufacturing and distribution and use of single-use plastic carrier bags will be thrown out. The Honourable Minister responsible for Land, Environment, Climate Change and Investment, Daryl Vaz, is with us now. Morning, sir.
Morning to you, and Happy New Year to you both, and also to your listeners and viewers.
To you and your family too, sir. So come tomorrow, let me just go from the top. What exactly will there be a ban on?
So tomorrow is a historic day as it relates to the environment. What we are doing is the beginning of a phasing out of single-use plastics below the size of 24 inches by 24 inches. The implementation of this policy will go from January 2019 to 2021, depending on what it is. So tomorrow is for single-use plastic and the importation of styrofoam products, not the manufacturing of which is done locally.
Okay.
So the styrofoam will continue until 2020, January 1st.
But you can't bring it in.
2020, but you cannot import it. So it's important to make that clarification because it seems to be a little disconnect in that.
When we say single-use plastic, we're talking about scandal bags?
Scandal bags below the size of 24 by 24. The average size of a scandal bag now is probably about 18 inches, 16 by 18, 18 by 20. So the 24 by 24 basically gives you that increase in size in terms of prohibiting that.
But your single use that you get your sugar in or your chicken in or your, those will be...
So that's correct. So there are exemptions for medical supplies, meats, egg coming and other stuff. All of that will be outlined again. But just want to clarify that this all started in 2016 when there was a private member motion by Senator Samuda. So there is this thing about it being rushed.
Yes, there's some people complaining that they had no notice.
It has been on the table from 2016. I've mentioned it in my sectoral budget debate speech 2 years straight, that it was coming, plastics was coming sooner than later. But change is never easy. And when is the right time for change? If you ask me, this should have happened maybe 5 years ago. Yeah. So, you know,
is it at the window? Is it that despite the announcements that were being made, the window now for implementation, people are saying is too short?
Well, I think that is part of what is out there. And this morning at 11 o'clock, I'm going to try and clarify that because there is a way and a method for the transition to happen smoothly, both in terms of those who have plastic bags that were imported prior to September will be dealt with, as well as making sure that we plug the loop at the wharf in terms of additional plastic bags below 24 by 24 coming into Jamaica.
Minister, can you go back to the exemptions? You said the medical supplies, meat, you said?
Just for clarity, I'll just give you very quickly in terms of the exemptions.
Yeah.
Medical supplies.
So when you say medical supplies, explain for me, please.
Things that doctors
I know, use, but they can use that bag.
They can use that. So basically, to simplify it, scandal bags 24 by 24 is what is banned as of tomorrow.
Okay.
There are other exemptions that will be told and continue public education as we go along, but we have to understand that there has been a dependency on plastics over many years. Some people have grown to want to know that. Some of us knew when it was paper bags. So there's going to be a transition, but the impact on the environment cannot be calculated. It is immeasurable.
As of tomorrow, if I'm standing at a bus stop and I have a single-use plastic bag, what happens to me?
The fact of the matter is that there is a fine. We have both the NRCA Act and the Trade Act, which carries a fine of $2 million or 2 years imprisonment. That basically is to try and defer the importation and the distribution.
Individual?
That's not for the individual. The truth of the matter is that it's going to be very hard.
Yeah.
So
and discretion
will have to be used. But what I'm trying to say is rather than using a big stick in terms of a big fine and imprisonment, what we are trying to get is a collaboration, a partnership with the public at large. And basically, the question that is being asked, what do we replace it with? And you would have heard already yesterday that we have gotten 30,000 reusable bags. We're going to be using and working with the distributive trade and the retailers to try and get that number up to probably 150, 200,000 so that we can try and start to help
Let me ask
to make this change and the method in which we operate,
you would have
cultural change.
You would have gone to the stakeholders when you were looking to implement this. I guess there was buy-in, for the most part, from the major stakeholders.
Absolutely.
So who are you getting pushback most from now?
I think the big issue now is, now that the date is upon us, I'm not sure whether people didn't expect us to implement. Government has a way of making grander announcements and then there's no implementation. But this is such a critical that we had to. And I just want to say that I've heard the cries for another delay in the implementation, but it would undermine the credibility of the policy. And we don't want that. We want the people to understand that we're serious, but we prefer to try and work a partnership rather than the big stick approach. Because the bottom line, it affects each and every one of us. And what we need to do as a people is to work together and change our cultural addiction to plastic, because that's what it is.
Okay, so what is the big picture? What's the hope?
The hope is by 2021 that we'd have been able to phase out single-use plastics of all types, and that's why we're giving a 2-year period. For argument's sake, straws, plastic straws that you get when you go over the counter, those are banned. However, the Tetra Pak with the small thing, we have not been able to come up with a solution for that. So there's an extension and exemption on that. Styrofoam, we have a manufacturer of styrofoam. So we've given them a year to retool so that we can make sure that we try and protect jobs.
Them out of business.
So we are really trying our best and endeavoring to work with everybody, but you will never be able to satisfy everybody. So what I do say is that we are looking for a collaboration. We're going to continue the public education. We're going to try and distribute reusable bags, and I encourage all the retailers, the distributive chain, put your logo, put your banner, put whatever it is on it, and try and introduce it, because it's all for the good of Jamaica.
If I'm watching this morning and I think I have great reason for an exemption, what do I do?
You apply to NEPA.
And
we have, in fact, received over 160 emails from September to now of questions that have been asked. I mean, up to now, up to yesterday, I was fielding questions, and we'll continue. But we're going to continue the public education, and NEPA, there's a website, there's an email address, and there's a toll-free number. And the bottom line is that it's not the intention to start tomorrow morning to locking up everybody that you see with a scandal bag. We know that it's going to be phased. We know that there's stock in trade, but we have to try and get that stock out of the trade and stem the imports. And those are the two avenues that we are looking at. So in terms of those persons, those businesses, those distributors that have large stocks, we are meeting at 8:30 this morning with the private sector organization, with the Chamber of Commerce, and with the Jamaica Manufacturers Exporters Association to come up with how we can find a compensation method. Whether it's a tax credit or whatever it is for the large stocks that are there. What we will do, we will take those in and find an environmental friendly way to get rid of them.
You said styrofoam, the styrofoam manufacturers got a year grace.
2020. And the Tetra Pak for the plastic straws, 2021.
So the manufacturers of the scandal bags?
The manufacturers, well, most of the scandal bags are imported,
Okay.
But for 24 by 24 inches and below,
done.
Lights out, game over for that as of January 1st. But as I said, and I want to just reiterate, we know that there has been a cultural practice for the plastics, and the bottom line is that time has come that we need to deal with it. For the environment, we're not the only country. Big, small, and medium-sized countries are doing it. So it is the way of the future. What we want to do is partner with the public and all of the stakeholders to implement and transition it as smooth as possible. That's all we're trying to do.
Thanks for coming, sir.
Thank you very much.
And all the very best. You said at 11 o'clock today you have
11 o'clock we have a press conference, and of course
where's the press conference?
At Jamaica House. Jamaica House. But as I said,
and it's just really to outline again,
reiterate, and also to open up the avenues. And I know that the public education and the public relations has to continue. Some people say it hasn't been enough. When you're into something like this, you'll never be able to satisfy. And I don't think that people took it as serious as the government was.
By the way, you said most of the single-use plastic bags are imported. What about the bags that you want us to use now? Are they made here in Jamaica?
So, yes, look, that's market-driven. Right. Just like how you had paper bags that went to plastic bags, you're going to have innovative people, new
I already see bamboo straws
Yeah.
and all sorts of opportunities.
Jamaican people are looking for opportunities, and they will fill this void in due course. It won't happen overnight. Now that people realize that the ban is on and serious in terms of single-use plastics, 24 by 24, you're going to see even more activity in the replacements because it's a business.
Yeah. Can I ask one more question before I go? You said that some folks are saying that the public education was not enough. You think the government did enough to disseminate the information to make everybody ready?
To be honest with you, much more can be done and much more will be done. But again, if you're not listening,
you won't
no
hear.
matter how much
you won't hear.
You publicize and advertise, and based on the calls that I got yesterday from the actual trade itself, persons who are big retailers and distributors.
They weren't listening.
Walking in the bag.
And now they realize and they're saying, so what do I do tomorrow morning? Because
they weren't
and
listening.
Again, I hear the opposition, I hear everybody speaking about another 3 months. It would undermine the credibility, and guess what? We have to start.
Come on.
As of tomorrow, the most important thing and significant thing for this country is that the dependency of plastics will start going from increasing, which it has been over years, immediately to decreasing.
So that's where we want to start.
If that happens,
then we figure out the rest.
If that happens, then we have won from day one.
Yeah, man.
Because it means that we are now going in the opposite trajectory, which is what we need to do. It will not happen overnight, but we are committed, and we don't want for 1 second for people to believe that this is a big stick over your head. It can't work.
All right. The Honourable Minister responsible for land, environment, climate change and investment, Darrell Voss.
All right, we're going to dip into the memory jar after the break. Soon come back.